Hi, my name is Mackenzie, and I'm going to be talking to you about copyright and intellectual property laws. The case that I've chosen to have this discussion with is Flo and Eddie Incorporated versus SiriusXM Incorporated. The case first went to a judge in 2013, and it was brought by the plaintiffs, Flo and Eddie, who were members of the 1960s pop rock band called the Turtles. The plaintiffs claimed that SiriusXM had been streaming and broadcasting the Turtles songs for the past 12 years without getting any sort of permission or giving the Turtles any compensation for that. And they sued Sirius under three conditions: misappropriation, unfair competition, and conversion. A little background on these three terms. Misappropriation is intentionally using the property of someone else and using it for your own interest, or any other unauthorized purpose. Unfair competition refers to a dishonest trade practice that is prohibited by statute, regulation, or common law, and in this case it would be the law of California. And conversion, which is any unauthorized act that deprives an owner of personal property without consent. So I want to know what you think the most important or biggest issue of these three accusations is. I feel pretty confidently to say that it is misappropriation. In the court case, the plaintiffs note that subscribers in California of SiriusXM can download and listen to songs multiple times during their specific subscription period, use the replay feature to rewind, play, and pause their own sound recordings, and stream the Turtles recordings multiple times via on demand. And what do Flo and Eddie have to prove in order to win the case of misappropriation? They have to prove irreparable damage, either as artists or as the owners of that copyright. So they have made the claim that SiriusXM has cheated, essentially, Flo and Eddie out of millions of dollars because they are not getting any money for any of the California subscriptions. This is where copyright comes into play. So there is a Copyright Act of 1976, which defines the 8 categories of work that are considered copyright protected. Those are literary works, musical works including any accompanying words, dramatic works including any accompanying music, pantomimes and choreographic works, pictorial, graphic, and sculptural works, motion pictures, other audiovisual works, and sound recording and architectural works. So when this act was put forward, it only took into consideration any piece of work that was made 1970s and on. So there was nothing in place for recordings that were made pre-1970, which is when the Turtles were in their prime. So what ends up happening is something called the DMCA, or the Digital Millennium Copyright Act. And that is part of the Federal Copyright Act, which bans software and hardware that facilitates circumventing copyright protection technology. So streaming services like Spotify or like Sirius Radio, it is allowing you to just listen to whatever kind of music you want without paying that fee. And in turn, they're not paying that fee either. So in addition to this case being tried in California, it is also being tried in New York City. When that case came up, SiriusXM ended up accusing the plaintiffs of playing something called lawsuit lottery and requested that the court move the case to New York City. They said that, and I quote, "If plaintiff suits were materially identical, such effort would smack of forum shopping." Basically, they have an unfair advantage of what kind of case they are going to have. So my question is, why would the defendants want the case to be tried in New York City? So ultimately, in this case, the judge ruled in favor of Flo and Eddie, and Sirius agreed to pay at least $25 million per the agreement that they have made. As of now, this case is actually being appealed, as is, I believe, the one in New York. So my question is, how does this case impact the future of music streaming? It definitely puts into consideration what is going to come out of it, because there's obviously a lot more than just the Turtles who have music that are recorded pre-1970 and are streamed on the daily, so I'm very interested to see what comes of it. And as always, these are the sites that I have used, and I thank you for your time.